just what are your plans for the off season and possibly playing or just doing individual workouts?
Yeah, I mean, probably take a little bit of a break here, just for maybe a week. I don't really want to lose a ton of the stuff I've worked on, and just trying to get my body back to full health.
Imagine holding a winning lottery ticket worth billions of dollars and then lighting it on fire because you were too proud to cash it in. That is exactly what the WNBA is doing right now with Caitlin Clark. For years, the league begged for viewership, pleaded for relevance, and prayed for a superstar who could transcend the sport. They finally got her. They got a player who sells out arenas in minutes, who single-handedly tripled TV ratings, and who has generated more economic activity in 6 months than some franchises have in a decade. And how did they thank her? With a rookie salary that wouldn't even buy a luxury car, a locker room culture that treated her like a villain, and a league office that stayed silent while players headhunted her on the court. But now the bill is coming due. Rumors are swirling that Clark is looking at the exit door. And she isn't just looking at a vacation. We're talking about potential offers from European and breakaway leagues that could reach into the hundreds of millions. Deals structured like Lionel Messi's contract, offering her equity, ownership, and the kind of forget-you money that the WNBA simply cannot compete with. The league had one chance to secure their golden goose, and it looks like they have officially blown it. Let's get straight to the numbers, because this is where the disrespect moves from unfortunate to criminal. When Caitlin Clark signed her rookie contract with the Indiana Fever, the figure was public, $76,535. That is her base salary for a year of professional basketball. Now, you might hear people say that's just a collective bargaining agreement. The league can't pay her more. And technically, that's true. But let's look at what she gave the league in return. Financial experts estimate that in her rookie season alone, Caitlin Clark was responsible for roughly 26.5% of the WNBA's entire economic activity. Think about that. One player driving a quarter of the economy for an entire professional league. Her presence helped the WNBA secure a new media rights deal worth $2.2 billion over 11 years. Before she arrived, the league was valued at a fraction of that. She is the reason charter flights became a priority. She is the reason games were moved to NBA arenas to accommodate the crowds. So, when you do the math, she brought in billions in future value and hundreds of millions in immediate revenue, and the league cut her a check for $76,000. In the NBA, a player bringing this much value would be on a supermax contract worth $60 million a year. The gap isn't just a gender pay gap, it's a competence gap. The WNBA's business model was not built to handle a superstar of this magnitude, and instead of tearing up the rulebook to pay her what she's worth, they shrugged their shoulders and hid behind a union contract. That level of financial disrespect is usually enough to make anyone quit. But for Clark, the money was just the tip of the iceberg. If the low pay was an insult, the treatment she received on the court was an assault. From the moment the season tipped off, it was clear that the old guard of the WNBA wasn't interested in passing the torch. They wanted to extinguish it. We all saw the clips. We saw Kennedy Carter of the Chicago Sky blindside Clark with a hip check while the ball wasn't even in play, a move that would have resulted in a suspension in almost any other league. We saw Angel Reese cheer on the violence from the bench. We saw veteran players clotheslining her on drives to the basket. Now, physicality is part of the game. Nobody is saying she should be treated with kid gloves. But there is a difference between playoff basketball and targeted hazing. The issue wasn't just the fouls. It was the league's reaction, or rather, their lack of one. When the face of your league, the asset protecting that $2.2 billion TV deal, is getting headhunted on national television, the commissioner should be stepping in. Fines should be levied. Suspensions should be handed out. Instead, the league was radio silent. It felt like the WNBA was trying to prove a point. No one is bigger than the league. But they forgot that without Clark, the league goes back to flying commercial and playing on streaming apps that nobody watches. By refusing to protect her, they sent a message that her safety was less important than the ego of the veteran players. And if you were Caitlin Clark sitting in an ice bath after another game of cheap shots, you have to ask yourself, Why am I risking my knees and my future for a league that won't even call a flagrant foul? The hostility didn't stop at the foul line. It extended into the media booth. This might be the most confusing part of the entire saga. Usually, when a sport gets a massive influx of new fans, the legends of that sport are thrilled. When Tiger Woods exploded onto the scene, golf legends didn't try to bury him. They celebrated the money he brought to the game. But in the WNBA, the legends seemed bitter. Take Sheryl Swoopes, a Hall of Famer and one of the greatest to ever do it. Instead of praising Clark's scoring records, she went on podcasts and actively spread misinformation. She falsely claimed Clark had an extra year of eligibility due to COVID. She didn't. She claimed Clark took 40 shots a game. She took roughly 22. She tried to paint Clark as a bully pushing around younger players. These weren't just hot takes. They were verifiable lies designed to diminish what Clark was accomplishing. And it wasn't just Swoopes. Diana Taurasi, weeks before the season started, famously said, "Reality is coming for Clark," implying she would get crushed by the pros. While Taurasi's comment could be seen as competitive trash talk, the relentless nature of the criticism from former players felt coordinated. It felt like gatekeeping. There was a palpable sense that they didn't want this specific player to be the face of their league. They wanted the money she brought, sure, but they didn't want to give her the credit. This toxicity created a mean girls environment that was uncomfortable to watch as a fan and likely unbearable to live through as a player. This is where the leverage shifts completely. While the WNBA was busy mishandling their star, Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier were busy building an escape hatch. They launched Unrivaled, a new 3-on-3 professional league designed to run in the off-season. But this isn't just a summer pickup game. They have serious financial backing, and they have singled out Caitlin Clark as their primary target. The reports coming out of Unrivaled are staggering. They aren't offering a standard salary. They're offering a Lionel Messi-like package. For those who don't follow soccer, when Messi came to America, he didn't just get a paycheck. He got a percentage of the jersey sales, a cut of the Apple TV subscriptions, and equity in the team. Unrivaled is reportedly offering Clark something similar, a salary over $1 million for just a few weeks of work, plus genuine equity in the league. This changes everything. If Clark takes this deal, she becomes an owner. She becomes a partner. She stops being an employee who can be fined and ignored and starts being a mogul. The appeal is obvious. Why grind out a 40-game WNBA season for $76,000 in cheap shots when you can play 3-on-3 in Miami for $10 million in ownership? This league gives her a way to play competitive basketball in the U.S. without dealing with the toxicity of the WNBA establishment. But Unrivaled isn't the only shark in the water. We have to talk about the international money. For decades, WNBA players have gone to Russia, Turkey, and China to make their real money. But for Clark, the offers are astronomical. There are reports of a $15 million offer floating around from a Chinese league for a single season. $15 million, tax-free in some scenarios. Then you have Ice Cube and the Big Three. Ice Cube has been very public about his offer. $5 million to play in his 3-on-3 league against former NBA players, but he later confirmed that the offer could have gone as high as $15 million with incentives. He understands what the WNBA doesn't. Caitlin Clark is an entertainment product. She puts butts in seats. If she decides to take a gap year from the WNBA to go play in Europe or Asia, she wouldn't just be making more money. She would be making a statement. She would be showing the WNBA exactly what she is worth on the open market. And the terrifying part for the WNBA, she could do it. She doesn't need the WNBA for exposure. She's already more famous than the league itself. If she goes to play in Barcelona or Shanghai, her fans will just download that app and watch her there. The WNBA needs her. She does not need them. We can't forget the biggest piece of armor Caitlin Clark wears, the swoosh. Before she even played a professional game, she signed a signature deal with Nike worth a reported $28 million over 8 years. This is FU money. This is the kind of financial security that allows a player to walk away from a bad situation without blinking. Most WNBA players simply cannot afford to quit the league. They need the paycheck as small as it is, and they need the benefits. Clark is in a different stratosphere. Her Nike income alone pays her 40 times her WNBA salary. She has deals with Gatorade, State Farm, Wilson, and Panini. She is a corporation unto herself. This is why the WNBA's power plays failed. You can't bully someone who can buy your team. When the league tries to force her into a bad schedule or refuses to upgrade her travel, she can simply look at her bank account and realize she is doing them a favor by showing up. The Nike deal empowers her to make decisions based on happiness and respect, not survival. And right now, the WNBA is not offering much in the way of happiness or respect. The timing of this entire disaster could not be worse for the WNBA. The Players Association recently opted out of the current collective bargaining agreement, CBA. This means that by the end of 2025, the league and the players need to negotiate a new deal, or there will be a lockout. The players are demanding a bigger slice of the pie. They want higher salaries, better benefits, and revenue sharing. And their entire argument hinges on one thing: the massive growth in revenue. But here's the catch. That revenue growth is almost entirely tied to Caitlin Clark. If Clark decides to leave for Europe or Unrivaled, or simply take a break during the negotiations, the league's value plummets. Imagine trying to negotiate a billion-dollar TV contract when the star player is playing in Turkey. It's impossible. The other players in the league, the ones who have been freezing her out and throwing shade, are about to realize that their pay raise depends on her staying. If she walks, the leverage is gone. The $2.2 billion deal might get renegotiated or have clauses activated if viewership drops. By alienating Clark, the veteran players might have just cost themselves the biggest payday in the history of women's sports. So, here we are. The WNBA is staring down the barrel of a gun they loaded themselves. They had the chance to embrace the Caitlin Clark era, to protect her, to market her, and to pay her. Instead, they let jealousy run rampant. They paid her a fast food manager's salary, and they let her get beat up on national TV. Now, with $100 million offers on the table from Europe and rival leagues, the question isn't why would she leave. The question is why on earth would she stay? She has the money, she has the fame, and she has the leverage. The only thing keeping her in the WNBA is her own desire to compete in the best league. But if the best league treats you like the worst enemy, that desire fades fast. The WNBA has officially blown it. They tried to humble a superstar, and they are about to learn that in the modern era, the superstar holds all the cards. If Caitlin Clark takes that flight to Europe, she takes the future of women's basketball with her. The ball is now in her court. Would you blame her if she took the money? Would you stay in a job where you were underpaid and mistreated just out of loyalty? I don't think I would. The WNBA needs to wake up, apologize, and open the checkbook, or they're going to be remembered as the league that fumbled the Michael Jordan of women's basketball. What do you guys think? Should Caitlin take the $100 million European bag, or should she stay and fight for the WNBA? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, hit that like button and subscribe for more uncensored sports truth. I'll see you in the next one. Imagine holding a winning lottery ticket worth billions of dollars and then lighting it on fire because you were too proud to cash it in. That is exactly what the WNBA is doing right now with Caitlin Clark. For years, the league begged for viewership, pleaded for relevance, and prayed for a superstar who could transcend the sport. They finally got her. They got a player who sells out arenas in minutes, who single-handedly tripled TV ratings, and who has generated more economic activity in 6 months than some franchises have in a decade. And how did they thank her? With a rookie salary that wouldn't even buy a luxury car, a locker room culture that treated her like a villain, and a league office that stayed silent while players headhunted her on the court. But now, the bill is coming due. Rumors are swirling that Clark is looking at the exit door. And she isn't just looking at a vacation. We're talking about potential offers from European and breakaway leagues that could reach in the hundreds of millions. Deals structured like Lionel Messi's contract, offering her equity, ownership, and the kind of forget-you money that the WNBA simply cannot compete with. The league had one chance to secure their golden goose, and it looks like they have officially blown it. Let's get straight to the numbers, because this is where the disrespect moves from unfortunate to criminal. When Caitlin Clark signed her rookie contract with the Indiana Fever, the figure was public, $76,535. That is her base salary for a year of professional basketball. Now, you might hear people say that's just the collective bargaining agreement. The league can't pay her more. And technically, that's true. But let's look at what she gave the league in return. Financial experts estimate that in her rookie season alone, Caitlin Clark was responsible for roughly 26.5% of the WNBA's entire economic activity. Think about that. One player driving a quarter of the economy for an entire professional league. Her presence helped the WNBA secure a new media rights deal worth $2.2 billion over 11 years. Before she arrived, the league was valued at a fraction of that. She is the reason charter flights became a priority. She is the reason games were moved to NBA arenas to accommodate the crowds. So, when you do the math, she brought in billions in future value and hundreds of millions in immediate revenue. And the league cut her a check for $76,535.